Right. Today we're going to talk about my 7-year retrospective at University of Bradford to get a bachelor's degree. So, quick history. 2018, I graduated from sixth form in the UK. It's equivalent to A level. It's equivalent to high school in the US and other countries. Essentially, did A levels and got really terrible grades. I got DEE, which E is the lowest grade you can get before you fail, so it's a pass, and just slightly above pass. And that wasn't enough to get into the university that I wanted to, which was Nottingham at the time. And I got an unconditional offer to go to University of Bradford. Basically, I was lazy, I was arrogant, and I didn't study. So I go to University of Bradford, I do a foundation degree, I do year one and half of year two of civil and structural engineering, and I drop out because I just don't care. It's not who I am. I'm not interested in the subject. Sorry, I'm interested in the subject the same way people are interested in sports, but I'm not committed to it, where I'm not doing research about it every single day. I don't do any extra work outside of it, and I'm not committed to the actual discipline. I'm just interested. I drop out 3.5 years in. And what I do is I do computer science for cybersecurity course. At the time, when I drop out, it's the best thing I've ever done in my life. I'm really happy. I enjoy it. I've figured out that I want to be committed to this discipline. But I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do cybersecurity in particular. I do the course, and my overall review is that cybersecurity course at University of Bradford was too theoretical. We basically spent too much time reading research papers and talking about AI in cybersecurity and talking about firewalls and security policies rather than learning assembly, exploiting memory, doing binary exploits, or doing CTFs. We did try Hackney as well, and we did learn some Linux, but those skills were too surface level, and we didn't get anywhere special. So let's get to my grades. So this is for my year one and year two grades. I didn't put my year three grades, but year three grades are pretty much identical as well. It's like 70s all across the board. If you look at the modules for my degree, they look pretty good. This is what you would expect from a computer science degree. And you have computer architecture, you have maths, you have programming, software design, internet technologies, computer networks. Here's computer networks, everything that you would need. But if you notice on the side, and this is the main reason why I'm showing you, almost every one of these is coursework based. Coursework, examination. But that examination is quite rare, as you can see. There's 1, 2, 3 for the first year. This weight has even 0, right? Second year, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have total of what? 7 exams. 7 exams in the first 2 years. It's a waste of time. Why is it a waste of time? Because you don't learn anything via coursework, because you research a very specific topic for a very specific purpose, and the way you learn things is via repetition. You learn what if statements are pretty quickly because you use them so many times. You know what a function is very early on because you've just used it so many times. But when you go to more advanced topics like what a queue is, even though it's not that complex, a queue is significantly harder for people to define in programming because they use that significantly less than an if statement. So we go into year one, and I do these subjects. This is, by the way, from the official website. They have like a duplicate mistake, which is funny. It was okay. Year one was okay. It was easy. It wasn't very hard. Not that much time wasted. There was probably like one module overall that was a waste of time. It was okay, but it wasn't difficult, and outside of programming, not a lot was really taught. Biggest mistake I made was I played too much for Lost Ark, which I really enjoyed, but I got a 60 in here. It's the only sub 70 that I received in the entire course, and yeah, I was a bit upset with that. And then I missed out on free Azure certifications, which is my current job. I do Azure certification, which is, yeah, would have been useful. Year two, year two is probably the year I worked the hardest. I got pretty much the same grades as I did in year one, slightly better than year three. I did a CompTIA Security Plus certification so I could get a placement, and in the end, I managed to secure a placement here, which if you ever have an opportunity to do an internship or placement here at university, I highly recommend it. But as it says here, I skipped most lectures. Basically by year two, I just realized that it takes them about an hour or two to go over slides of a lecture that I can do in 25 minutes. And that time save really allowed me to prepare for exams and prepare for coursework better. And I just stopped going to lectures. It was a waste of time. Diablo 4 here is mentioned is that there was a time after year 2, just after year 2 and before my placement year, where I got top 200 world. And I was really proud of that. Top 200 at the fastest 100. I think I was 140th fastest level 100 character playing Druid. So I was really proud of that. But as you can see, I still spent a decent amount of time playing games. Placement year, probably the best thing I ever done in my life. I went to work for West Yorkshire Police, and at West Yorkshire Police what I've done was basically built bots. First was a Snapchat bot where we were essentially faking Snapchat score. Second one was a Instagram and a Facebook bot that allowed you to upload posts on Facebook or Instagram from your Android device. And so what you could do is you could schedule in the future, like you could select 10 posts and make sure they arrive at that specific time and date. And then last project was like a Telegram bot where we scraped all of the data on someone's account when we logged in. But what I learned over the placement here, I was going into this placement here expecting to do cybersecurity related things, but what ended up happening was I ended up doing software engineering. And I fell in love with it, and I realized I don't want to do cybersecurity. I didn't drop out. I finished my cybersecurity degree, but I didn't really care about the cybersecurity part. So in the final year, these are the subjects that I did. Out of them, I'd like to say that the mobile app development one was a complete joke, because I already did an Android development app for West Yorkshire Police. So it was a complete cakewalk. I got 100% in the implementation of the app. I just lost points on the report and lost points on architecture, which, to be fair, looking back, my architecture was abysmal. Foundations of cryptography, I'd say this is probably the closest course to like a top university course. This course was legit through and through. It was 80% exam. The exam was difficult, although it wasn't difficult for me, it was difficult overall. But the lecturer, who was my tutor at the time, he had a pattern of how he makes exam questions. And so I just figured out the exam pattern. I told my friends, and we all got really good grades for probably by far the hardest module at computer science. This was quite hard. If you don't know what's going to come up in the exam, this is really, really challenging, because you have to like memorize all the algorithms by heart. So you have to know what RSA is off by heart. And the other, cybersecurity and principles of security technology, were complete jokes. So placement year finishes, and I'm going into year 3. At this time, I'm working part-time for West Yorkshire Police. And long story short, I knew from about halfway through my placement year that I'm not going to get a graduate position. So I had to start applying for jobs. This is not a full list, because I do not want to dox the position that I actually got. But this shows 83 total applications and my standing. If you see these blue parts on the left, it means that these companies didn't respond. So something like 40% of all companies didn't even bother responding to me. And I found that really crazy, because I had 2 certifications, I had a year and a half of experience, I had security clearance, but I couldn't get a job. And the job market was too competitive. In the end, I got lucky enough where I got a place as a software consultant at a data analytics company doing Azure related software solutions. So I got lucky, but it just goes to show that just because I planned everything from start to finish when it came to my degree. I was ahead of the curve of most, if not pretty much everyone in my course, give or take a few people, and I still could barely get a job. And it just goes to show that in a competitive market, if you're not doing more than everyone else, you're just disadvantaged by default. Um, so yeah. However, this was a really weird year because the difficulty of the year was not having money from working, because I was working previously. I had lots of savings, but I had to spend it all on a driver's license, which I didn't even finish at the end. And that kind of put a strain on my mental health. And it didn't help that I was applying to jobs quite heavily, and I wasn't getting anywhere until April when I got my offer. So due to that stress, I just partied pretty much every week and played rugby because the actual course itself was too easy. Once you go into industry, everything just becomes easy in comparison. So yeah, post-graduation. So that's my second role, the software consultant for a Microsoft partner. Overall, university was worth it for me. I am in quite big debt that I'm probably never going to get out of. It will have to be written off by British laws. Like if you have a student loan for 30 years, they write it off. So I'm probably never going to pay that back. But overall, it was worth it for me. My only big regret is that I didn't study in school, because if I did study in school, I would have gone to Nottingham or an even better university if I had a better prediction grade, and my life would be completely different. Part of these applications that I did, some of these declined me for my high school grades. I got a first class degree. I got really good grades. If you guys don't know, 70% in the UK is as high a grade as you could possibly get. You get 87, you can get a 99, but the actual grade boundary doesn't change above 70. So what this really means is I'm coming out with a good, strong degree, but no one's interested because I went to a shit university. And the point I'm trying to convey here is that if you want to be competitive, you have to take every advantage you can get. You work more, you do additional things, you go to the best institution, you try to get to the best company, you just try your best in every conceivable way. Can you become successful by not going to university? Absolutely. Can you become successful by going to shit university? Absolutely. But on average, the successful people, even the successful dropouts, were dropouts from elite institutions. So when someone says, "Oh, I don't need to be this and that," look at Mark Zuckerberg. He dropped out of university.
He dropped out of Stanford. Or Harvard, was it? It was Harvard or Stanford. I'm sorry, one of the others, but it doesn't change the point. He dropped out of an elite university, and he's successful. You have to take every advantage you can possibly get. So if I end up doing a master's, which I might in 5 years' time, I'll go to an elite institution. I'll go for the name value, because that's what gets you offers on LinkedIn. Anyway, just a quick one before I go back to work. Just wanted to say, the retrospective is, I wish I worked harder, and at least I'm young enough to recognize that and change that. I have some books over here. What's the books here? I'm gonna go through to get my actual computer science knowledge, because I lack it. I lack fundamentals, and fundamentals are key. People don't realize that eventually you start forgetting these fundamentals, and if you know them, life is a lot easier. You start understanding advanced concepts faster. So I'm going to focus on fundamentals, and I think you should do that too. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.